So we need to talk about some moving and shaking with Baylor and Louisiana being postponed, what that might mean for the big noon kickoff game, and OKC is in the market for a new head coach, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on Step Milk. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. So it's college football related, sports related. We have a good time today. I want to talk about the OKC Thunder, Baylor, Louisiana, and the fallout. Remind you that we do the live shows on Mondays and Wednesdays at 3 o'clock Tulsa time. You can catch those on the RJ Young Show podcast, where you can listen to them anytime while you're in the car or cleaning, or, I don't know, loading all 17 rounds into the magazine as you prepare for the inevitable home invasion. Now, I wanted to do this segment in part because I can do this segment, right? One of the cool things about this medium and this platform is that it is sports talk radio on demand, which basically means that I get to cover breaking news anytime I want. And seeing as I wanted to talk about this, and I'm over here just tweeting up a storm in the middle of the Lakers and the Rockets game, especially following what Miami finally did to the Bucks in preparation for me being on game night with Jeff Dickerson and Jonathan Hood on Saturday from 8 to midnight. You should be able to catch that if you can on the ESPN app. I'm taking a lot of notes, and we got the NFL kicking off on Thursday, and we have a big game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints on Sunday. My Dallas Cowboys are going to try to win their first Super Bowl in 25 plus years. And then we have this ongoing thing with college football, where we have seen postponement after postponement after postponement in a year in which is going to already be weird and is already going to be cagey in how we talk about it. And then early around 8 p.m. tonight, Yahoo Sports' Pete Thamel broke the news that Baylor and Louisiana has been postponed due to an outbreak of COVID-19 positive case at ULL. Now, up until Hurricane Laura hit, they had had just one positive test at ULL. And it was also going to be a really cool game because Ron Roberts had coached at ULL. He's defensive coordinator at Baylor now and had once been Dave Aranda's boss, where at one point in time, Ron Roberts gave rise to both, yes, Dave Aranda and Pete Golding, and launched their careers as two of the dominant defensive minds in all of college football. Seeing them on the sideline together is going to be very cool. We're just going to have to wait for it. So with those 38 positive tests, it was like, what happened? Again, Hurricane Laura happened. So when the players got displaced, they're really just looking for shelter. We're talking about water. We're talking about food. We're talking about safety, right? And in the process, they come back, they picked up the COVID, which led me to ask this question. If ULL has 38 positive tests, how many must LSU have? Because, hey man, last time I checked, Hurricane Laura affected Louisiana and Texas particularly badly, right? In addition to some other damage that was caused. And now that I'm looking at the number of postponements that we have, I actually want to pull up because I've been keeping track of them in a note on my phone because I just think that this is wild and we've never seen this before. And then I took a look, and of course, Brett McMurphy is doing the same thing. And I mean, kudos to that dude. He's been keeping up. Tulsa at Oklahoma State was postponed on Monday to September 19th. NC State at Vatech was postponed to September 26th. Temple at Navy was postponed to October 10th. ULM, at Troy was postponed to December 5th. SMU at Texas Christian, Marshall at Eastern Carolina, and Rice at Houston, Rice at Marshall, and UAB at Rice have all been postponed. And now La Tech at Baylor. I keep saying ULL when I mean to say La Tech. That's my bad. I've been saying ULL the whole time, meaning to say the Raging Cajuns. ULL also has a game this weekend. That's one of the reasons I'm getting flustered and over the top here. All right, so knowing all of this, there's now a big hole in the big noon kickoff, which is the reason that I sat down in this chair to start talking anyway, before I started saying ULL when I meant La Tech. One is, the Raging Cajuns. One of them plays in the Sun Belt. Now, one of them also beat Miami in the Walk-On Independence Bowl. Got beat in the Bar Bowl. Miami. That's who Miami is now. The kind of team that gets beat by La Tech, by a team from Ruston. Yikes. So now that we know that there's an opening at 11 a.m. for the Big Noon kickoff, at a time when Big Noon is going to go head-to-head with Game Day, like this is what's huge about this to me as a sports media nerd and nut. Big Noon kickoff is now going 3 hours, right? They're going to try to go straight up with College Game Day, which is the most watched television show on Saturday mornings during the fall and has a long history of being dominant. As a matter of fact, we had perhaps what Bomani Jones called the most subversive College Game Day of the past weekend when you had Lee Corso say, I don't think anybody should be playing football until February 2021, and you had Kirk Herbstreit letting you all know his feelings about Black Lives Matter and sobbing on television because he recognized the pain that myself and others feel at this time and at this moment and how these conversations are going. Knowing that Rob Stone, knowing that Joel Klatt, knowing that Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, Urban Meyer all are supposed to go head-to-head also means that you got to be able to follow up with the goods for your first big game, because we now know that 11 a.m. slot, Central Standard Time, noon slot for Eastern Standard Time, Big Noon kickoff, is one of the most profitable for Fox. That's why they kept putting Oklahoma and Texas games at 11 a.m. because they know that's when most of us are going to be home. And in knowing that most of us are going to be home and putting Oklahoma and Texas at 11 a.m., Ohio State and Michigan at 11 a.m., basically your best game at 11 a.m., I wonder, would you be more willing to move Coastal Carolina and Kansas, that's going to kick off at 9 local time, p.m., to that 11 a.m. slot, or ask Oklahoma and your Fox subsidiary to refund the pay-per-view money, save everybody $55, and move that game to an 11 o'clock kick? I realize that that's a bit self-serving, but I also think it's in Fox's best interest because you're probably going to make way more money from advertising on that game than you might any other. And at this point in time, when we're really just watching whatever football y'all are going to put in front of us as games get postponed like this and that, you need something. And unless you want to flex that 2:30 kick of Arkansas State and Kansas State to 11 a.m., which I think would be the next best option here, that's what you got, because the Longhorn Network is going to show UTEP in Texas, right? You ain't got a whole lot to choose from here. And yet, this is what you have. So knowing that this is what you have, knowing that you either got to flex this OU Missouri State game, the Coastal Carolina Kansas game, or Arkansas State and Kansas State, the pickings be slim. So take a look at it, Fox. Think about it. Perhaps this is the way to go. The other topic I want to talk about just at length, because I'm going to, or not at length, in a short term, is I think I'm going to talk about these things on the live show at 3. But Billy Donovan being out at OKC is not about Billy Donovan getting fired. After all, it wasn't a Raptors job. We've seen head coaches, NBA coaches of the year get fired, Dwayne Casey, the year after winning it, but, can't really argue with the math on that one from Messiah Ujiri because Nick Nurse led them to an NBA title the next year with Kawhi. All right. Now, we're seeing a co-coach of the year in Billy Donovan and OKC part ways. What seems to be clear here is Billy Donovan signed up to coach Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. And when that fell apart, Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and Melo. And when that fell apart, Russell Westbrook. And then that fell apart, right? So you were stuck with Chris Paul, Lou Dort, who came on late, right? Dennis Schroeder, Steven Adams, and Andre Robertson that you barely got to play in the last couple of years, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. After that, you're really talking about rebuilding. And it seems as if Billy Donovan does not want to be a part of the rebuilding job that Sam Presti wants to perform, right? So the Sixers seem to be in on a Billy Donovan, which means that he loves coaching diva sets, right? Go from KD and Russ to to Simmons and Embiid. Ugh. Chicago also seems like they're going to be in on this as well. I asked this question, though, sincerely. What would it take for Billy Donovan? What would it take for Sam Presti to interview Ty Lue or Jacques Vaughn for this job to try to figure out which one of these guys might be able to fit, especially at this time when we're really taking a look at which one of these black coaches is getting an interview and might get an opportunity to get a job. This after Steve Nash got the job at Brooklyn without any head coaching experience, any coaching experience whatsoever, at a time when we thought that maybe Ty Lue, who's won an NBA title, might be a perfect fit for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and what they want to do, because you also want somebody with some experience in this. who knows how to win these championships. Now, it looks like Sam Presti's either going to interview those guys or go looking for his own Brad Stevens and try to be the Celtics on steroids with all these draft picks. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Doses.